Sketchy weather, it seems. First it rained, then it stopped. Now it looks like it's extremely cloudy. Let's see if it holds up. Alright, well, what's going on today? Actually, this year will be technically 2 years when I got the drone license. 2 years, just like that. Can you believe it? And apparently, to maintain your status, you're supposed to take a 24-month, I guess, say, update. So every 2 years, you have to update your skills in order to maintain a good standing. And apparently that is with either redoing the test again, like literally, you could redo the flight review test, you could redo the online exam, and apparently you can fill out some questionnaires and stuff, like a self-paced study test. And that's the one I basically did, because I found it funny actually, there's actually people trying to profit from this as well, saying, oh, you better redo the review all that or you'll lose your license. Like, holy smokes, is there anything people won't try to commercialize in this case? So I thought I'd show what this self-paced study exam is. Actually, the funny thing, the first thing I was thinking is how it says every 2 years basically you have to do this. If you look at my certificates and stuff like that, I actually did the test really early, if you guys remember, even before it was actually in place. So I did it back in January 15, and it made me wonder, am I supposed to do it based on that date? That was when I did the basic one. But I did the advanced one with the actual flight review at July 30th. So that's when I was issued that one. So was I supposed to go based on the paper one it says here in the certificate, which is January 15th? Because it seemed like it was done in a very lazy way where when you do the advanced one, all I do is checkbox the other one and it still says the 15th on the certificate. Either way, might as well do it. So basically you'd go to this page here and there's this form that you can actually fill out with a PDF or on the site. It says here it's a 2020 to 2021 Remotely Piloted Aircraft System RPAS Recency Requirements Self-Paced Study Program. So it says completion of this questionnaire satisfies the 24-month recurrent training program requirements of 901.56 or 901.65 in the Canadian Aviation Regulations. And depending if you're basic or advanced, you'll have to answer more questions. And it says the completed copy is to be retained by the pilot. So there's no indication here that you have to submit this to Transport Canada or anything like that. It's basically you do it and you keep it for your own records, I suppose, and date it to show, hey, I did it on this date. Because apparently, again, there's other ways you could satisfy this requirement. Apparently, you can also attend safety seminars or sessions, but to my understanding, a lot of them were canceled just because of things like the pandemic and all that. Although it makes me wonder if that safety drone day counts as this. So you can see here in the forums, they ask you general questions. Like this one says, how do you subscribe to receive email notifications for the Aviation Safety Letter electronic bulletin? And they basically give you the answers on the actual pages as well. So there's really no way you could technically, I guess, fail this. Most of them too, I would assume they want the answers as is in terms of what they indicated the answers are. And so for some of them, like the radio question one says, send radio messages, and you write clearly and concisely using standard phraseology whenever practical. Plan the content of the message before transmitting, and it says listen out before transmitting to avoid interference with other transmissions. So like there, you're not supposed to write down, obviously, like don't say transmitting and listen out just on one little box. I'm assuming they want you to write like that, listen, and then the other box, out. Some of these questions actually are on the actual exam, but it's kind of funny. I'm just thinking about it in terms of mentioning things like here, like in terms of taking things like cannabis and alcohol and all that. I don't know. In terms of updating your knowledge, I would imagine it should be more stuff like tech updates, what's new in the drone industry, so to speak. Although some of them, I wasn't too sure if they want you to write it in the way they write it in terms of the questions, because they even say above that these answers may be changed, the regulations may be changed, so they might be completely different. So like this question here, it says, the CARS states no holder of a pilot certificate small remotely piloted aircraft, VLOS, shall operate a remotely piloted aircraft system unless the holder has, within the 24-hour months preceding the flight, successfully completed, and you're supposed to fill in the blanks here, and their answer is either of the examinations referred to in paragraphs 901.55 and 901.64. So basically this is supposed to be the small or basic exam certificate, like you actually have it. Although again, I think they wrote it this way where just in case they change the regulations and law, like it's no longer valid, the right answer is technically reference this line here. So you can either fill it out from the website with their forms or again from the PDF file. I guess the only odd thing about the PDF file is the spaces where you can write answers are extremely small, so you might not actually be able to fit in your answers if they're expecting you to write down some long paragraphs and all that. And at the same time, even when you print it out, all the answers are actually on all the files here too. It makes you wonder, shouldn't they just made this a multiple choice question like for everything? But I'm assuming a lot of you guys too, for the people in Canada, you'll have to do this as well to update everything. So this is a free way to do it. Anyone trying to sell you, in my opinion, any courses or anything like that, or trying to scare you into doing it, like, oh, you better pay them another $100 to $200 for another flight review or something like that. Nope, you can basically just do this, according to them anyways. When I was looking at the documentations, actually, just in terms of the certificates, I actually didn't show this last time when I did the flight review. Basically, the flight instructors, they have to, I guess, submit this form and all that to Transport Canada, and you have a record of it, and they show what you passed and if you did not pass something. So you can see here with all the checklists, describe the site survey process, etc., etc. It says they checked everything and even wrote a comment here. It says, Alan flew his drone with confidence and followed all procedures expected. He came prepared with his equipment and with advanced research of flight area and the areas around it. Very professional and prepared. Oh, what a nice comment. If you guys remember too, he's in the Canadian Armed Forces and he originally wanted to become things like a flight reviewer so he can teach his cadets how to fly drones and certify them. Makes you wonder how they're going, especially with things like this pandemic and all that. I actually had a good idea to help them potentially, like those cadets, in terms of flying drones and so forth. Although an interesting question about that, what is the logic behind this in terms of having to do, like, say, a test or a course or something like that within 2 years in comparison to other things in life? Let's just say like the road. People constantly say, oh, this is just like getting a driver's license and all that, but when you really look down to it in terms of how things like the roads are managed, licensed, depending on what is being used on a road, it's actually not done like this. Like even a driver's license, you can just renew it just like that. You don't have to retake your tests or anything like that. So it makes you wonder, what's the logic behind that when it comes to things like, say, the drones here? Alright, see you guys later.